Hello, beautiful Whatnuts. It is Thursday, May 15th in the United States and Canada, and this is a show called What Chaos, presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code WhatChaos. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks, run your game. In Albany, New York, my name is David Bean. I sit in a room by myself, not as nice a room as the one in which Pete Blackburn sits, and across the country, kind of, is Sean DePaz. Hello, everybody.
Hello, David. How is beautiful Albany, New York treating you?
We were driving through beautiful Albany, New York, and Sean said, this city isn't nice. And someone who is not new to American cities said, it looks like Worcester. And I said, babe, it looks like Worcester. How are you, boys?
It's not really an awesome endorsement.
And that, by the way, that's the capital of my state. It's not some random city outside. That is the capital of the state of New York. So probably not great comparing it to Worcester.
It is crazy that's the capital when New York has much better things to offer.
But you got to,
pretty much across the board.
You got to. It's literally only the capital because it's close to New York City, and then in between New York and the rest of upstate New York. I have to admit.
Shout out New York. What doing some Niagara Falls tomorrow. It's going to be the best. Pete, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I've been really looking forward to today's show. I bet you can imagine why. I mean, I bet you've been looking forward to today's show too, but maybe for different reasons. The Edmonton Oilers have advanced. The Toronto Maple Leafs have advanced towards just being the same old Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'm very, very excited for today's show.
It's crazy. Ned in the chat says, oops, Albany. Very good. I like that. That's very humorous. Nice. It's very smart. Smart people make that joke. Okay. I said during the OT stream last night, my fear in the third period of the first game was, what the fuck are the Oilers going to do that is somehow going to make them the story, derogatory tomorrow? Because we both had about 800 combined man hours on the Leafs, ready to go, ready to do a show. So I'd love to find, did enough crazy things happen last night for today to not be dominated by the Maple Leafs? You tell me, Pete, when you tell us what's on the show today.
Would love to do just that. Today on the show, we have the leafing stocks. Leafing stocks. Is that just about like the Leaf stocks going down? Or is it Leaf stocks a thing?
I'm not sure here. I don't know.
Interesting.
Are Leaf stocks a thing?
Well, if they are, you've got a trash portfolio. I'll tell you that. It's a laughing stock. It's a play on laughing stocks.
Ah, okay. I keep my money in the walls. It's fine. Nick Alberga is going to join the show. The old Golden Muzzy on Twitter. We decided to give JD Bunkus a little bit of a break. I spoke to JD Bunkus last night. My man is not doing so hot. So we're going to talk to Nick Alberga today. He's another Leafs fan that is very good at telling it like it is. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say about his boys this morning. Oilers.
In fairness, we are going to hear from JD Bunkus. We're going to hear from a lot of. We're going to do a little media tour of just things that were out there, because it was watching Leafs fans and watching Leafs observers was better than watching the Leafs last night. I told you late, like maybe early third period, I was like, boys, the game is my second screen. I am on straight Dangle right now. Continue.
I know. Somebody in the chat said no Steve Dangle. Trust me, we tried to get Steve Dangle today. That man is as busy as you would expect the day after that game from the Maple Leafs. Sean did play a clip of one of the Steve Dangle highlights from last night this morning on his computer, just going through show prep. And it scared the absolute piss out of me because it is just a Steve Dangle jump scare where, you know, those videos from like the early 2000s, be a car driving down the road and then it's a zombie face that just screams. He sounds like that. And that is a natural reaction to what he was watching from the Maple Leafs last night. So God bless the only good Toronto Maple Leafs fan, Steve Dangle. I love him so much. And finally, Pissy Connor, despite Oilers in 5. Connor McDavid was not happy. Job's not done for old 97 last night. So we'll get into that as well.
To discuss with the Edmonton Oilers, and I can't wait to do that, but I am so relieved that nothing so crazy happened that it took away from the Maple Leafs. Because if something happened that was greater than what happened in the Maple Leafs game last night, I think that we'd be talking about a major injury to a star player. That's the only thing that could overshadow this. So let's begin the show with really what is going to be the breadwinner today, which is in the rundown, it's just titled Jesus fucking Christ Maple Leafs. Holding home ice in a 3-game series, the Leafs play possibly the worst hockey game ever in a 6-1 loss. They face elimination on Friday, and I don't think that we need to rehash too many individual components of the game. We will definitely discuss Mitch Marner, but I thought that the best clocking of it was done by Jackie Redmond, who tweeted, and I am paraphrasing, "It didn't need to be over tonight. It was a swing game. Someone was going to take the lead. The series did not need to feel over tonight, yet it does, because they turned in this type of performance where they get absolutely walked at home. You got Brad Marchand getting kicked out of the game in front of his parents, having the absolute time of his life. And I'll tell you, it's reached a point, Sean and I talked about this last night on the OT stream, it's reached a point where this seems like a new low, and you almost feel bad for Leafs fans. I know that I do.
I don't. I do not. I do not feel bad for them.
I also don't remember saying that I felt bad for them. I said it's like
you said it's sad.
There's no jokes to be made. It is sad.
There's a lot of jokes to be made. That's factually incorrect.
There are jokes, but it's just like
I like a lot of Leafs fans. I do not feel bad for them. I mainly do not feel bad for them because of like the larger population of Leafs fans who just like are just the worst people in the world. But that I just reserve my right to always enjoy the Leafs crashing out like this. The Jackie Redmond thing, I get it. I agree. The bigger thing here is that we've spent so much time this season talking about how this Leafs team looks different and how they're different. And now you are right back to square one. They are not different at all. And you're right. It didn't need to look like this. It didn't need to feel over. It probably would have felt over had they lost in any fashion, given that like they just lost 3 games in a row and that they're the Maple Leafs. But for them to come out and have zero excuses for how they looked in Game 5, it's stunning. It's stunning that we're erasing all of the narratives that we were writing about like these new Maple Leafs and that they are back to exactly what we expected. Like after Game 3, you say, you know, or game 3. After Game 3, you're like, okay, you lose a game in overtime. That's excusable. Brad Marchand comes up big for his team, gets the Panthers off the mat. That's not totally the Leafs' fault. Game 4, you see the Panthers emerge as the Panthers for the first time in this series, and they choke out the Leafs, and you say, okay, that's fine. That's kind of what we expected the Panthers to look like against the Leafs in this series. That's not totally the Maple Leafs' fault. They punched them in the mouth. They didn't really know how to respond. That's fine. Where it truly becomes unfathomable is the response after they got punched in the mouth, because the Leafs knew what the Panthers were bringing. They knew what they were bringing. They had home ice, and they come out and they look so fucking flat and uninspiring. And for guys like Matthews and Marner, and I know I've made excuses for Matthews about him being injured, he still needs to be better. And Marner, what the fuck are you doing, my guy? What are you doing? For a guy who is trying to erase the narrative around him heading into free agency this summer, where he's trying to make some money, for that guy to come out and look as bad as he did last night and as inexcusable, the spinny backhand pass, failing to cover the back door, failing to back check, and just like, oh my God, there are no excuses, and it is unbelievable that we are right back here to square one.
1-2-3 Utah, man. We talked about the Battle of Alberta a few years ago in that overtime where you could see Johnny Gaudreau start to skate back to America, like right,
Yeah.
like that. You could see in that moment, you're like, he is gone. he is leaving that team. And that was more of like a he's dumping them, but
Yeah.
this
I
was
mean,
the moment when it's 2-0, and on an easy breakout where all you're facing is somebody is going to hit you, and you pull up and send a blind backhand kind of attempted breakout pass to Gus Forsling. It was Steve Dangle flipped out about, we're going to show one clip about it, but he had like 9 that I thought were all correct, where one of them he was saying like, when have you seen a Lightning player do that? When have you seen a Stars player do that? When have you seen anybody who means business do that? And the stakes are so high, and I honestly think that boiled down to Mitch Marner in a kind of must-win game in the second round didn't want to get hit. Inexcusable.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the Johnny Gaudreau thing. The Johnny Gaudreau thing had like kind of quit on his team in the final seconds there. I think that Mitch Marner would have helped his team by quitting on them. That's how bad he was. Like if he went out there and did nothing, it would have been better than what he did. And that to me is insane. That to me is crazy. It's why I wouldn't give him $1. I think he's a good player. I wouldn't give him a fucking dollar in free agency. I really wouldn't. Because what are you paying for? You're paying for games 1 through 82, but what does it matter when things get tough in the playoffs and that guy has no interest in being part of a winning product in the playoffs? It's unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. I hate dumping on guys like this, but he deserves every fucking shred of getting cooked that he's going to get from now until free agency. Unless, of course, by some means he comes out and has 2 great games to end this series and pushes them through, then I will eat my words. Everybody else should eat theirs too. But until then, I wouldn't give that guy $1.
So I think he is a phenomenal player, and I think that he deserves a massive contract. But here's what he is. Different style, but he's the new Phil Kessel, where he's such a good player, but do you want that guy on your books? Because you have to pay him for how amazing he is, yet the only way you win with that guy is if you have like 3 other players who are as good or better, because they're going to have the intangibles that he seemingly lacks. Like that was a big, big, big moment. And I think that people overreact to Mitch Marner sometimes, but there's no overreacting to that. Let's see though if there could be by watching Steve Dangle's reaction to it.
Mitch, what was that? Here come the Panthers off a spinny backhand pass, and they score! Mitch, what on earth are you friggin' doing? What was going through your head when you did that? What is your major malfunction? What made you think that was the move? The Panthers have Jesper friggin' Boquist up on their top line tonight, and he just buried you clowns. 3-0 in your own barn halfway through a game 5? You guys suck!
Couple of super chats from Schwa. Stu Skinner stonk up, thank you very much. And from Clubbers, why Leafs fan upset, scored as many goals as Oil. Okay, when Steve says, and they score, that's that moment where like you see a loved one cry, you know? And you're like, the feeling that, like, I'm not feeling what you're feeling, but Jesus, do I want to die for you right now, because that's so miserable, whatever is going on with you. Like, poor Steve Dangle in that moment. And I will always say poor Steve Dangle. I know people like they watch him to laugh at him. At some point last night in the third period, there were more people watching Dangle on his stream seriously than there were people watching the Leafs at the arena because everybody left. And I know that everybody's watching to see him melt down. But in that moment, he's actually exasperated and he's actually hurt. And we would think he can't be hurt anymore.
Yeah, and like that honestly did not feel performative, which is crazy to say. That guy, I love Steve. I love several Toronto Maple Leafs fans. I have a lot of respect for a lot of Maple Leafs fans in my life. I feel bad saying like I don't want anything good to ever happen to them, but it's who I am. It's how my hockey fandom is shaped. I don't want anything good to happen to them, and I love Steve. And Steve is so good at crashing out that why would I want anything good to happen to him? Why would I want that not to be fed to me on a silver platter? It's so good. He is unbelievable. I do want to push back on the Phil Kessel thing because I feel like you were a little disrespectful to Phil Kessel there. Phil Kessel did show up in the playoffs, and you made the point that like he wasn't the guy. He was never really like the 1A or whatever. That's fine. The problem here is that Mitch Marner is going to demand to be paid like a 1. And if
which
you're
is what Phil Kessel
to be,
was.
How much was Phil making?
He got a huge deal on his second. The reason the Bruins traded him was they were like, he wasn't the highest paid guy in the league, but they didn't want to pay him top dollar. And he went and he got top dollar in, I'd have to look it up, but he was a big money player.
But ultimately, he went on and earned it. And I guess like Mitch Marner will have the opportunity to do that after he gets paid, probably somewhere else. Maybe he does it. And if so, I'll be happy for him. I'll be glad for him. But if I'm a team right now, I'm not giving that guy. I've really not seen a shred of anything that would make me feel confident that he's going to show up when it matters most. And that's why I wouldn't give him anything.
Phil Kessel went from making... he got 5.4 a year in Toronto, and then 8 a year after that. Once he got traded to Pittsburgh,
after he got traded to Pittsburgh, he earned the 8 a year. That's kind of how it worked. He earned that 8.
He earned that 8, but he was a middle six player, which back then $8 million was huge money. That's like Patrice Bergeron money.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like he's going to make top dollar on his team or close to it, and you need, like I said, like maybe even 2 or 3 guys who are better than him. And that's what happened with Pittsburgh. Phil Kessel wasn't a top 4 player on that team, and that's absolutely fine. But how often is that going to actually happen? This is a guy who was traded, I believe, with money retained. Like, do we ask before he even signs his contract? At some point, does whoever signs Mitch Marner retain money when they eventually trade him? This feels like, I can't remember a free agent in any sport where when they sign their deal, I mean, Deshaun Watson, maybe, but there are other questions there, but where you're like, man, there's a real big, oh boy, with this contract. Sort of JD Drew a little bit, but that was because people were still kind of unsure as to whether he was a particularly great player. This is going to be really unique, but I'm telling you, man, he's going to still get absolutely paid. And he does deserve a massive contract. That's what sucks. That's what, and like, I almost feel for him where it's kind of like, remember when PK Subban shoved it up Bergevin's ass and had the Norris winning year? And it went from, okay, now instead of paying me, I'm not going to remember what the cap was like back then, but like, instead of paying me this much, now you got to pay me way more. And as soon as I sign that deal, my contract becomes quote unquote a problem. I feel like that's what Mitch Marner is going to be. And maybe getting him out of Toronto will make the story subside a little bit. But like, let's say I said 1-2-3 Utah, which is the 1-2-3 Cancun thing. Let's say he goes to Utah. Other guys can be the dog there. And he's just the guy with the huge paycheck who's going to score 1 million goals and be a great defensive player. But he ain't no alpha, man. I'll tell you
No,
that. And
definitely
not
not.
everyone has to be an alpha, but it gets complicated when the highest paid player isn't an alpha.
Yeah, and it gets complicated. Like William Nylander is the only alpha that the Maple Leafs seem to have on their core four. Like you can say John Tavares has been good, but like it feels like William Nylander is the only alpha in that core four. And then like maybe Matty Nice. Like Matty Nice has more alpha to him than Matthews and Marner. And like if we're dissecting the Marner of it all, like he's got one shot on goal in his last 3 games. One shot on goal in his last 3 games. And then going back to what happened earlier this year when the Leafs tried to explore the trade for him and Rantanen, the stat that was tweeted out by Maple Glazed on Twitter, just an unbelievable stat. Mikko Rantanen has 8 goals in his last 6 playoff games. Mitch Marner has 7 playoff goals over the course of his 6-year contract. That, talk about alpha comparison. Mikko Rantanen is as alpha as it gets. Mitch Marner is as far at the other end of the spectrum as it gets. When games get tough and when shit gets nasty, he becomes worse. Like he becomes worse the more nasty it gets. And Mikko Rantanen becomes better. It's crazy.
Friday in Florida is going to be absolutely bonkers. We were there last year in the postseason. It's a mad scene there. If you want to be there, I would recommend, I don't know, Vivid Seats. You might see the last Leafs game of the season. No better time to be in the arena. No better place to get the tickets than at Vivid Seats. You know from us, from our experience. It's the best place to get your tickets for any live event. Best selection of games and seats. Every purchase backed by their 100% buyer guarantee. Plus, Vivid Seats is the only ticket marketplace that rewards you for every purchase. So download the Vivid Seats app and start earning rewards towards free tickets. New Vivid Seats users who use promo code CHAOS30 will receive $30 off their first purchase of $300 or more. Once again, click the link in the show notes, go to vividseats.com or download the Vivid Seats app and use promo code CHAOS30 for $30 off your first purchase of $300 or more. When it comes to playoff hockey, there is being there is all that matters. So experience it live with Vivid Seats.
Not going to make the Leafs golfing joke. Not going to make the Leafs golfing joke. Not going to make the Leafs golfing joke. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at PXG. We love them. It's time to get some new golf clubs, and that means one thing. You go to PXG and you get a fitting. Bring the clubs that you currently have, those ones that suck, that are making you be terrible out on the course. Bring those pieces of shit to your local PXG. Swing into the simulator and watch the PXG staff find ways to fix your game. They will fit you with the Black Ops driver, which I have in my bag, the Black Ops irons, which I have in my bag. They made me so much better than I thought I could be. I still suck, but I'm so much better than I used to be. And the fitting experience was incredible. It was so much fun. You're just hitting balls into a golf simulator screen for like an hour and having a good time with the staff there as they help you and fit you. They're highly trained. They're incredibly experienced, and they have a deep understanding of how to optimize your clubs to get the most out of your swing. It's educational, and it's fun. They give you like free waters and stuff. It's cool. Also, you can browse around the merch that they have there. PXG has some pretty tremendous merch if you want to look good on the course as well. Schedule your fitting today, and for a limited time, you can save up to 20% off your entire order. Head over to pxg.com/chaos. That is pxg.com/chaos to get 20% off your entire order. One more time, pxg.com/chaos. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Okay, let's bring in our buddy, the great Nick Alberga. Golden Muzzy, where is he? Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there, boys. How are you on this Thursday?
Better than you. Better than you. That is for damn sure.
It feels like Groundhog Day, guys. It feels like Groundhog Day, where it's like I always answer the bell as a Leafs media member, answer the bell and trying to respond after whatever the effort was the night before. But yeah, mind-boggling, bewilderment. Like, list your best adjective as to what transpired on Wednesday night, eh?
Here's a question. Do we know that it's for sure over? And I kind of led off piggybacking on Jackie Redmond's take that it didn't need to end in Game 5, but it looks like it kind of did. They can still win a game and force a Game 7, and then they'll lose Game 7, but they can still win that Game 6.
That's exactly what's going to happen. We've seen this episode a billion times before from this Maple Leafs team. They'll drag their fan base back into the fight to deliver a really strong effort. They got to have some semblance of balls and bounce back after, again, whatever that was. And I think they lose in game 7. But I thought an interesting stat I pulled today was teams who win game 5 when tied 2-2 win 79% of series. And that's why I think so much stake was on the line there in game 5, guys.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are fine, but like, had they lost that in a normal fashion, I don't think we'd be having this same conversation. It's that it looked the way that it looked, and that they just looked like the same old Maple Leafs. With all of everything coming into one center thing, all things considered, was this the worst loss of the Core 4 era?
Man, like that's a really good question. And I was saying this on my show today. I have to credit this team for one thing and one thing only. They find a way to become more and more embarrassing in terms of the way they lose games. Like I know, and then the fight back is like, oh, every team's got embarrassing losses. Nobody has embarrassing losses like the Toronto Maple Leafs. They lost to a beer league goalie, a Zamboni driver. Like that's as low as it gets. But I think this is beyond that, where I was billing this game the biggest game in franchise history in 20 plus years, and they didn't show up for it. Like, how do you not show up for that game? I think you have to credit the Florida Panthers. I think lost in the shuffle this whole conversation the last 12 hours or so. They're playing a really good team. The Panthers were supposed to win this series. Bobrovsky's been better. I think Matthew Tkachuk is banged up, still elevating his play to a degree. I think Barkov's been held in check. Like the Panthers' depth guys have been monsters. The blue line has been really, really strong. Getting Ekblad back has been massive and monumental. But yeah, it has to be one of the bigger ones in recent memory at the very least, just because of the stakes and the fact that they just no-showed. Like, how do you no-show on home ice in game 5 of round 2? It makes no sense.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm glad you brought that up, because like I didn't want to get through the whole conversation without giving any credit to the Panthers. Like the Panthers played great, but like the thing is, we expect that from them, and
Yeah.
we were conditioned, or I guess taught, to not expect that from this year's Maple Leafs. And so that's why the discussions are on the Maple Leafs. But you're right, like the Panthers deserve all the credit in the world. They've become the Panthers over the past 2.5 games, and they deserve that credit. They look like what we expected. So yeah, I mean, sorry, DJ, I cut you off.
And I'm going to jump in with a thought on the same topic, which is I'm trying to figure out whether it makes it any better that it's against the Panthers, because the Panthers are a battle-tested team that loaded up at the deadline and looks like they're going to win the cup. The problem is, right now, I am positive that 3 teams are winning the Stanley Cup this year. There are 2 teams out west that have just as much of a nobody is beating that team, and 2 of them are about to play each other. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like the story of the postseason is, dear God, the Panthers, like it was even a couple of years ago when they were a surprise, and last year when they were starting to mow teams down. This year, I kind of had this as a pick'em with the Leafs and the Panthers, and that there have been 3 teams right now, and credit to the Hurricanes, I still think they can make a run, but it's not like this is a one-horse race and they ran into the only horse. This is a series that they were leading 2-0, and they were an overtime away from being up 3-0. Yeah, they would have let the Panthers back into the series anyway, but I actually have a hard time giving them the Panthers excuse this year.
Fair enough. And unfortunately, that's been instilled in this franchise and this fan base, even dating back the last decade. It's always an excuse why they couldn't get the job done. And I'm with you. I just don't buy it. I think every iteration of the team has been different to a degree every season. I thought they were pretty decent the Ryan O'Reilly year, but I do truly feel like this is their best shot to do something significant, regardless of the opponent, like the blue line, like the crease, like what they've established up front. The bottom 6 had a bit of an identity. And that was the big thing for me, is like how much of a no-hitter game 5 was from many aspects. But like they've been a physical team, very direct, very linear. And they strayed away from that, where it's like they resorted. Like I felt like I was watching game 3 of exhibition play. And it was only special that Nick Robertson scores a goal late in regulation after being a health bomb. But just the relative like norm that they were playing with, where it was like a walk in the park country club type atmosphere, is what got me. Like there was no urgency, no desperation. Bits and pieces, I felt like I was watching the skills competition at All-Star Weekend. Mitch Marner's trying to go backhand sauce through 17 sticks. Ditto for Matthews giving away the puck on the opening goal of the game. You just can't make mistakes like that against any team, never mind the Florida Panthers. And I just can't give them a pass because I've seen this rodeo again against a variety of different teams, whether it's Columbus, the Montreal one still eats me alive, where they just didn't show that killer instinct. The Boston Bruins 83 times. That's a thing I think from a Leafs perspective that's pissing me off today is people are coming out, it's just one game. It's one game. It's not just one game. They've proven time and time before they're unable to rise to the occasion and rid themselves of the choker narrative. I think it's a rightful narrative right now, guys.
So let me ask you this. So let me ask you this, because we're talking about it's not just one game. Like, where is your faith in like this core group right now? I think we're all kind of packing Mitch Marner's bags, whether we're in Toronto or otherwise. But like, what about Matthews? Where's the faith in them being the guys? Because I'll compare them to the Edmonton Oilers. It's probably unfair to compare anybody to Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. But when like the chips are down, those guys and the rest of the team is playing like shit. There are so many times where those guys have stepped up to the plate and said, you know what? We're going to take over this game. We're going to have big moments, and we're going to push our team through even when we look bad or the rest of the team looks bad. What are those moments for a Mitch Marner? What are those moments for an Austin Matthews? Like, how many times have they stepped up and hit a home run in the bottom of the ninth to save their team? Where is the faith in that group, or specifically, I guess, Austin, since we're packing Mitch's bags? Where's the faith in Austin being able to be that guy moving forward?
It hasn't been there. And quite honestly, to me, I think they set the precedence years ago where they gave these entitled guys everything and the bag for doing essentially nothing and just paid them because they're really good at hockey and they'll produce points in the regular season, paid them nothing for what they did in the playoffs. And it sets a precedence for the next contract. And that's exactly what we've seen. You're talking about an Austin Matthews who right now is the highest paid player in the NHL and a complete no-show. Like, he's played 10 career games in the second round, 0 goals. He has 2 goals in his last 14 playoff games. I would add to the Matthews conversation, I think it's a bit different than the Marner one. We all know he's banged up. Like, I can't remember the last time a professional athlete went to a different continent in season. Nobody knew about it. Then we found out about it. I actually think it's hurt Austin Matthews, and the Maple Leafs have been mum, and most teams are when it comes to injuries this time of year, but he's been dealing with something all season long. You don't go from 69 goals scoring with precision, 3 goals on 3 shots every night or every other night, to scoring 1 time on 8 shots and barely, raising the puck. Like, there's something cooking here with Austin Matthews. It's just more so, to me, the body of work from the player, but I give him sort of the benefit of the doubt because we all know he's banged up. But I think it's an issue that the team hasn't come out and said anything. Like, I think if they were more direct and more transparent, I think people would understand more, and maybe we're not bashing this guy as much because we don't know what's going on. But they want to keep it close to the vest, so they're not going to disclose anything, and hopefully we find out after this run's over. The Marner one's different to me because I think he has proven that this type of hockey is not sustainable for the type of hockey he's playing. Like, Jay Rozo, my co-host on Leafs Morning Take, goes in on this guy like once a week, and I get it. I think we've come to a point, guys, and from the outside looking in, you probably agree, after like a decade, it's probably not going to work. Like, we're talking about 9 playoff runs with this guy, and it's the same old shit where it gets to the game, it gets the important part of a series, he is nowhere to be found. It's one thing to do it in game 2 of round 1 where they win 7-3 and he gets 5 points. Like, good on you, Mitch. Where are you when it's game 6 or 7? And Pete, as you just astutely brought up, like, where are you for that big goal in OT, the Rantanen hat trick? Like, nowhere to be found. And that's what I think is the concerning part from this fan base. But I think Willie Nylander of the 4 is like the dog, the alpha. He's had moments in the playoffs this year and in previous postseasons.
Tons of people watching on YouTube. Appreciate you. Make sure you like the video right now. And also, if you have not yet subscribed, press subscribe. It allows you to comment and do all that stuff. It's also free. It helps us a lot. Thank you very much. On Austin Matthews, though, and I agree, like, clearly there has to be the caveat that he is hurt. However, he is not a good postseason player. So, and I know it's kind of fruitless to be like, well, even if he were healthy, he would probably suck right now. But even if he were healthy, he would probably suck right now. Pete mentioned Matthew Nyes earlier. I think that we all love him because he's the anti-Marner. He was a dog last night. Like, everybody was bad. So, as the team potentially bows out of the postseason, and who knows, I'd love to see them show some fight. But say this is it. They trade for Brandon Carlo, who's got another year left on his contract. They do have guys under contract. Is Tavares definitely gone? I think we assume that Marner has to be definitely gone, but like I'm just reminded of so many teams, the Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins, the Vegas Golden Knights, who it seems like there's a year where you say it makes sense for this to be the year in which they do it. And I was as close to all in on the Leafs as could be. Is there any chance that this is the year they crash and burn? And what an idiot I'm being. It ends up being next year that they come back and they just needed to get that extra punch in the mouth and they can put something together even with all these moving parts.
It's funny you bring that up because I feel sort of that way about the Carolina Hurricanes, where nobody really has talked about them, at least positively, going into the season before the rant and hoopla. And would we be shocked at all if Carolina ends up winning? Like they're getting goaltending as well from Freddie Anderson. I think a Conn Smythe conversation right now, but maybe that's the case. I think you just can't come back with the same nucleus. So I think Marner's a guy for sure who's not going to be back. I think the point is well taken from the outsider's perspective of John Tavares. They almost have to re-sign him because who are you filling the void with? Like I was saying this on my show today, in a perfect world, I know Sam Bennett's a local product, but would Sam Bennett look at free agency, and it sounds like he's going to re-sign in Florida, by the way, but would he look at free agency and be like, you know what, I'm going to go to Toronto. I want that smoke. That team is close. I'd be like, get me the hell away from that team. Like, I don't want to go to them. Aaron Ekblad, same conversation. So honestly, the question gets to like, I understand you want to make a culture change, but then who are you adding in free agency? I think there's going to be an arms race for Brock Besser, Nikolai Ehlers, Marner, Bennett. Like this free agency crop isn't very strong. And I think that's what sort of plagues the Leafs this year is they almost are being forced into the decision where they have to keep at least one or maybe both, who knows, of Marner and Tavares here.
What would happen if they re-signed Mitch Marner?
Tell you what, I mean, it's an interesting market because there's a lot of backers. Like it's a civil war on a daily basis, and this has been brewing for years. There's a lot of backers in Mitch Marner. So one side of the fan base would be very, very fun. And, you know, the calculator community, the numbers, people are big fans, and I get it. He's an unbelievable regular season player, just not just first career 100-point season. But then there's the other side, like myself, where it's like, that's great. And I appreciate what Mitch Marner brings to the table. I think he's a special player. He's an all-star, bona fide star. But I want dogs. Like I want alphas. I want guys like Patrice Bergeron who are going to drag you into the fight. And, you know, we had this conversation yesterday doing the show. It's like all this conversation about Austin Matthews. And again, I'm giving him, you know, the benefit of the doubt. But Patrice Bergeron was dead to rights that 1 year. Like they almost pronounced him dead after one of the games, and he still played through it. So it's hard to give guys a pass this time of year. I think you have to put up or shut up. And unfortunately, from the Marner standpoint specifically, he can't find a way to get the job done. And that's what concerns me. It's like if you bring him back, you know how it looks in the playoffs, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's harder. It's harder to I think that you can have guys like Mitch Marner on a winning playoff team, but you have to have the other guys around them. And it's a lot harder to do that when you're paying the Mitch Marner type player $13 million and he's the highest paid player on the roster and he's the one disappearing when the games get the toughest. Like that to me is the problem. If Mitch Marner wants to take a pay cut and stay with the Leafs and get like $8 million a year, then God bless him. The Leafs will probably be in a pretty good spot. But that's not going to happen. So that's my
exactly it. He's coming off 10.9 AAV. If he wants to sign that deal where it's like $8 million, it's just not going to happen. I think you'd be an idiot not to accept that. It's more so this guy legitimately is eyeing Rantanen money. Like think about that. You guys just laid out the stats: 8 goals in the last 6 games. Front runner right now for the Conn Smythe Trophy. He's already won a Stanley Cup. And again, all the power to you to request as much money as you want. He wants more than Austin Matthews. And I think there's got to be a precedence when it comes to the salary cap as well. Part of the reason, in my opinion, at least, Mikko Rantanen is no longer a Colorado Avalanche. They didn't want to pay him more than Nathan McKinnon. So there's a lot of moving parts to it. But I think the conversation for me on Marner stops when you mention the name Mikko Rantanen. They're just not the same guy. I know who I'd want.
Where do you think would be a good landing spot for him? We say Utah or Carolina.
I say Pittsburgh.
Gross.
Yeah,
I hate that.
I like how you snarled there. It's because Kyle Dubas. I personally, this is my opinion. There's a reason why Carolina's been connected to Mitch Marner for like 3 years now. There's a reason why they sniffed around at the deadline. I think at the very least, the Canes will be aggressive. They'll make an offer. We saw that with Gensel last year. We saw that this year with Mikko Rantanen. So they're probably like number one on my list. I think Chicago will be in that conversation. You have to get sort of somebody to go with Connor Bedard. You got to start building that roster. And I honestly feel like in this situation, it could come to the highest bidder. Like knowing what I know about the Marner camp, they're going to chase the bag. And if it comes to a situation where you get a San Jose John Tavares type request and contract, then I think he would accept it, quite honestly.
All right, we'll get you out of here after this one. We know things can change very, very quickly in the playoffs. Like after Game 3 of the Oilers Golden Knights series, we were ready to say Edmonton sucks. They're out. Stuart Skinner is a bum. Leon Draisaitl scoring on his own net. It's over for these guys. What does it have to look like in Game 6? We've already discussed the Game 7 element of it all, where the Leafs are definitely going to choke. What does it have to look like for the Leafs in Game 6, where you can have some seed of belief that they can win this series?
Well, they got to go back to Craig Berube hockey. It begins with that. Hard on the forecheck, physical. Like, that pissed me off, too, about Game 5. Like, that is your time in the third period where it's a rout to take some liberties, take some runs. I think they've made the series so easy for Matthew Tkachuk. It's like they're scared of the guy. He is so fucking hurt. It's insane to me. And they're just letting him scot-free, do his thing, piss guys off, jab at Nylander. Like, take a run at him, man. Take a chunk out of them. And I feel like they didn't do that. So more linear, more direct, get bodies in front. Sergei Bobrovsky's been decent, but I don't think he's been like the star talent that we saw a couple of years ago. Like, I think he's beatable. We saw that earlier on in the series. And I think it's cliche, but the start is everything to me when it comes to the Maple Leafs. You have to give yourself belief, and that means scoring the first goal. And very similar to like Florida Panthers and their record the last couple of years when leading after 2, that was sort of the MO of the Maple Leafs all season long. They get a lead, they rarely relinquish it, which is different than, recent seasons when you come to this Leafs team. So it's pretty simple. And on top of that, like the big boys need to just elevate. Same old shit, guys.
It's Nick Alberga, Leafs Morning Take. You're the best, buddy. We'll talk to you after, how about after Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals? How's that sound?
Yeah, we're going to break down the Carolina series with the Florida Panthers. Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
He can do it all. It's Nick Alberga. Thanks, buddy.
See you guys.
All right, the other moment everyone has been waiting for. Edmonton Oilers are in the Western Conference Finals. Back in the Western Conference Finals, they are the hottest team in hockey. They have won 8 of 9 games. They are 16-2 in games 4 through 7 under Chris Knobloch, which made me go to a chair so I could fall out of the chair. That is such a mind-boggling stat. And I said with Nick, there's 3 teams right now where you say, that team is definitely going to win the Stanley Cup. Earlier in the series, Pete, you had your semi-serious, the Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup moment. They just eliminated the Golden Knights in 5 games with back-to-back shutouts from Stuart Skinner, won the elimination game with a 1-0 overtime game in which Kasperi Kapanen scored the game-winning goal. We've spoken already about how they're the deepest team in the playoffs offensively so far. Your thoughts on the Edmonton Oilers?
Before I give you any thoughts, I've been holding on to this question since last night, and I've been wanting to ask you, but I wanted to do it on the show. Of the 5-game Edmonton Oilers series that we love, going back to the origins of this show, the 5-game Edmonton Oilers, Calgary Flames, Battle of Alberta from like a handful of years ago, which we have often described as the longest, craziest 5-game series of all time. Does this 5-game series surpass that in terms of the crazy shit that happened in it?
Yeah, it might. I mean, it's right up there. I mean, it just says that this is what the Oilers do. They play epic 5-game series. How could it be an epic 5-game series? One of the teams didn't even score goals. What's epic about that? I'll tell you what's epic about it. One team, the Oilers scored goals for that other team. That's what happened. And their backup goalie was starting to get amazing. Then he kept himself in a game, got himself hurt. Then they had to put in the starter. The starter's no good, you see. Starter's the best goalie in hockey right now. Don't you get it? It's epic. And it doesn't make sense, but that's what the Oilers are.
Those are my thoughts on this series. It's just, if you told me at the outset of the series that the Oilers are going to win in 5 games against the Vegas Golden Knights, I'd say, damn, that's crazy. But the fact that it happened the way that it did and it looked the way that it did makes it 10 times crazier. You ended this series with back-to-back shutouts from Stuart fucking Skinner. The game-winning goal in overtime in Game 5 came from Kasperi Kapanen. He of healthy scratch 2 games before.
He of Kasperi ass Klapanen.
Kasperi ass Klapanen. The last person to score a goal for the Vegas Golden Knights was Leon Draisaitl in Game 3. Like, what are we talking about? How does this team keep winning in the most fucking unhinged ways possible, and it looks different every night? It's crazy.
I hate to do it, but like, this is what friends do. You guys think they're fucking awesome, right? Like, I'm not just being a bobo. They are, like, they're the most impressive team this postseason. They might lose in the next round. I thought there was a good chance they were going to lose in this round, but how can they not be the most impressive team this postseason?
It depends on your definition of impressive, because
Exactly what I was going to say.
Because like, it's impressive that they've persevered, but part of the reason that they've had to persevere is because of the shit that they've done to themselves. And that is, and we talked about it last night during the overtime stream, like, to believe in a Stanley Cup winner, for me personally, I need to see teams win in various fashions. And the Oilers have shown me that they can win no matter what the game looks like at any point during the game. They're losing by four goals in the first period. Oilers probably going to win this game. It's 0-0 heading into overtime. Oilers probably going to find a way to win this game. Oh, their backup goaltenders in net. They'll still probably find a way to win all these games. Oh, their starter who became their backup, who is now their starter again, and looks like he kind of sucks. It doesn't matter. They're probably going to win these games.
Yeah, I feel like they're impressive because they're resilient, but I wouldn't say, like, if they end up against the Stars, I'm still going to think the Stars are going to win that series. So I can't say they're the most impressive team in the sense that I think they're the best. But
Keep that energy, bitch.
I
energy, bitch.
certainly am going to. But I definitely think their resilience and the way that they managed to win games is more impressive than anybody else in the playoffs.
I think that there's a good chance they play the Stars. I want to see what happens with this Leon Draisaitl situation, because there is a lot of somehow under-discussed storylines this postseason involving the Oilers. One is that, as I tweeted last night, Evan Bouchard went to good defenseman school at some point. I don't know, like, if he was doing night classes, like late in the Kings series. Evan Bouchard has been, I'm not saying that he has been an awesome defenseman. He was outstanding in that round, which he's going to need to be. Although, Ekholm's coming back at some point. They're only getting stronger. Amazing. The other thing is that Leon Draisaitl is other than Sasha Barkov, the best defensive forward remaining and the most effective defensive forward remaining. Incredible. I want to see what, like, they're going to put Draisaitl on Rantanen in the conference final and say, here we go. And from there, Dallas is a very deep team, but Edmonton's deeper. So I'm giving them a chance against Dallas. I don't know who I'm picking, but like, I would not be so quick this time around. And I let you guys pick the Kings. I definitely let you guys pick the Golden Knights. I think that we're a little too excited about the Dallas Stars. I think that what Edmonton is doing right now is something that nobody else is doing. And that's me being a fan, but that's also me spitting facts.
I mean, there's elements that nobody else is doing, that's for sure. And somebody
in Vegas is way fucking better than the Jets.
Edmonton?
Vegas is way better than the Jets.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with that.
Edmonton has had an easier time with a tougher opponent than Dallas might end up having with the Jets.
Right, and like the results are more impressive. I mean, we've talked about it, but like the top 5 scorers for Vegas, 0 goals. 0 goals in this series. No goals from Eichel, who I thought Eichel was like the best player on the ice last night. I thought he was really good, but no goals in this series. No goals from Barbashev. No goals from Dorofeev. No goals from Howden. No goals from Brandon Assad. Like, no goals from Tomas Hertl. No goals from like almost all of their top forwards, which is crazy. And somebody in the chat said, like, this feels like the Oilers' balls dropped during this series. And that's exactly how it feels. And we talked about it in round 1. The Kings let the Oilers get off the mat. They had the gun pointed at them, and they didn't shoot the gun. That we knew was going to result at some point in the Oilers finding their stride. It feels like they're hitting their stride, and the scariest part about that is that they still don't have Mattias Ekholm. The Oilers still do not have one of their better, more important defensemen. I know he hasn't been great this season, and we'll see what he looks like when he comes back from injury, if he comes back in the Western Conference Final. But the fact that they're doing all of this and being a shutdown, lockdown team without Mattias Ekholm is unbelievable to me, especially against Vegas.
If they're a shutdown team and they add Mattias Ekholm, that is going to be, and I'm a massive Dallas Stars respecter, but that is going to be very hard. And someone in the chat asked, if Draisaitl marks Rantanen and negates him, then who scores for Dallas? The answer is a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Dallas has plenty of, they don't need Mikko Rantanen to carry them. They might against Edmonton, but they're going to get theirs one way or another. I don't think that Stuart Skinner is going to continue his shutout streak too much longer. Dallas is awesome, but Dallas also sucks defensively, and maybe that's something the Oilers expose. I'm just saying, and I wouldn't be so quick on Dallas versus the Oilers. All I'm saying.
I mean, goaltending might actually be an issue in the Western Conference Final. Jake Ottinger looks really, really good. Adin Hill did not look really, really good for large portions of the series. I believe in Dallas's depth scoring and their ability to have an offensive impact more than what Vegas showed me in this series, which was almost nothing. So, I think it's going to be a great series if those are the two teams that meet in the Western Conference Final again. I'm very excited about it. I would not write Dallas off by any means, but yes, I'm very impressed by what I saw from Edmonton in the series.
And I feel like the other side of that is Hill. I agree that Vegas is better than the Jets, but Connor Hellebuck has been better than Hill. I think I just think it's a different comparison. It's going to be a different kind of series when they get there, because what the Stars have been going through has been different than what the Oilers have been going through, I guess.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the other side of it is Oilers are either playing the Stars or they are playing the red-hot Winnipeg Jets. If the Jets get through this somehow, then we are talking about the Jets a very different way. And the Jets are a heavy team. They are very tough to play against. So that would present its own challenges. But, man, I am just very impressed with what I have seen.
I just want to make it clear. While I do think that the Star, if I'm having to choose Stars over Stars versus Oilers, I'm choosing the Stars. By no means am I locking that in the I was much more confident about Vegas beating the Oilers than I will be about the Stars beating the Oilers, and we saw how that turned out.
Okay. We're in agreement then, and I don't go into any of these series saying slam dunk. I was pretty sure Oilers were going to beat the Kings, but I just didn't know because we didn't know what the Oilers looked like. And if we had a little more information, we would have been guessing less going into that series. But this would be who fucking knows? Maybe it ends up being a fucking sweep. Maybe the Stars sweep them. But you would think that this would be a war of a rematch.
I mean, did we not all think that the Stars were going to beat the Oilers last year?
I did. I definitely did, yeah.
I was very prepared for it. I was stunned that the Oilers won that series in fewer than 7 games. But that was them teaching us the 16-2 thing, which is, as these series go on, I can tell you the 2 games that they've lost in games 4 through 7 under Chris Knobloch. It was game 5 against the Canucks in the second round, and it was game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. Other than that, the dread of they're going to blow it or they're going to let it slip away. I know that they're assholes, but knock on wood, they just don't do that. If there is an opportunity to close a team out, they're going to do it. So I didn't know that back then. I feel like we all didn't know that back then. But yeah, once they had a 3-2 series in that lead in that series, I'm sorry, they were going to close that out. So that's where they are. We need to discuss Connor McDavid after the game because he was asked about the defensive prowess of the team, and he was extra pissy. Sean?
There's been natural progression over the last couple of years even. Have you seen that, the way that you guys defend and feel more comfortable defending as a group?
I mean, how many times are we going to answer this question, really? Like, honestly, that's frustrating that we keep talking about this. We can defend. We can. We've showed that time and time again. Come into a tough building and win a 1-0 game when it matters most. We can play that way. We can score goals. We can, whatever it takes, we can win games. Yeah.
Do you? A lot of people in the chat. Please like and subscribe. Every button you can press on YouTube, please do it. We appreciate you, and subscribe everywhere you can. Our Instagrams as well. My guy Connor McDavid. I understand that you're locked in, but, and I'm not like being like I'm not judging him as a media member or anything, but like, why does that question piss you off?
It's because he didn't get the overtime winner. He was pissed. He didn't have his big moment. He's doing his post-game media. He's like, fuck, they're going to call me Mitch Marner. They're going to say I'm Mitch Marner after this series. I mean, like, I kind of like it. I kind of like my guy being like, job's not done. Don't expect any like victory laps from me. Yeah, we played a couple of good defensive games, but it can flip on the switch of the flip of a switch. So I stay locked in, brother.
It also
keep defending.
It also strikes me as kind of like a cat. Like, he's a forward, obviously, and while defense is everyone's responsibility, like, it struck me as kind of him defending his defensemen as like these guys are obviously good hockey players. Stop asking about the fucking defense, which I can respect from a captain.
Someone in the chat says McDavid just wants a break from the media. Respectfully, McDavid does a lot less media than someone of his stature should. The Oilers are very good to their star players about making sure they don't do more than they have to. So I'm not like getting on him. I just think it's so like he was so crusty and ornery. Is he mad that he's like, God, now I got to stick with Stu Skinner or something? He was so mad.
I mean, he was very defensive of Stu Skinner last night too. He said like, hopefully the people that were talking about him can shut up now or something along those lines. It's like, well, I know you weren't talking about him. You don't even follow him on Instagram. Maybe you should follow him on Instagram and people would stop talking about Stu Skinner so much.
Isn't it wild? It seems like just yesterday that was the biggest story in sports. And now it's like, wait, Stu Skinner, he's the best player in the league. What? McDavid doesn't follow him? Who cares? The other day, that was crucial.
I do have to mention, you said earlier that the Dallas Stars suck defensively, and I think that's a disservice to Dallas.
It's all relative.
It's all relative, but you have to acknowledge, like, the next game that the Oilers play, they could be a goddamn disaster defensively.
Of course. I'm not saying the Oilers are better than I'm saying what the Stars are.
I don't think that they suck defensively.
Again, it's all relative. Like, to like what the Oilers just faced Noah Hannafin, who made the play of his life on that 2-on-1. I think that he made it out of fear.
That was an unbelievable play.
But you're going against Noah Hannafin, you're going against Alex Pietrangelo, you're going against like real studs. And the Stars are kind of what the Oilers are on defense, which is when they look good, you say, how are they doing that with those guys?
I mean, they just got back Miro, who is like
they have
top
one star
3-5 defenseman in the league.
Yeah. I'm not comparing them to the Oilers. I'm saying that
Harley's a stud.
Suck is an exaggeration. But do I think the Oilers can't score against that team? But
yeah, definitely. I mean, they definitely can, and they can score against anybody. That's why they're the Oilers. It's just I think this is going to be essentially like a coin toss in this series.
Yes,
very much looking forward to it.
I don't know who's going to win that series. I believe I was saying that as part of, though, that like they just played a very, very, very difficult Vegas team and didn't make it look easy, but proved ready for everything with the exception of William Karlsson having the puck in his own zone with 8 seconds left in a game. Can we discuss the Pink Pony Club thing for a second? We haven't really done anything
I'm very
on
excited.
Okay, so if you didn't know, Pink Pony Club is a song that Johnny Lazarus just found out about like 3 months ago. And don't give him shit for that. Whatever. The Edmonton Oilers apparently also did. And it's just beautifully, I don't know, like Western Canadian that Pink Pony Club in the year of our Lord 2025 is the Oilers' celebration song. Of course, they play La Bamba at the arena when they win, but in the dressing room, they play Pink Pony Club. And fans have jumped in on it. They played at the Moss Pit. How can you not? It is an absolute banger. Shout out the great Dan Nigro. The guy is a hit maker. After the game last night, there was a tweet that, I'll be honest, distracted me, pissed me off, kept me up an extra 2 hours from Courtney Terrio. I hope I pronounced his name correctly, from 880 Ched, the great 880 Ched. Chapel Roan wrote and recorded Pink Pony Club in 2019. Her label hated it so much that they dropped her. 5 years later, she included it on her debut album to prove a point. It's a song about resiliency and not giving up on a dream. Hashtag Let's Go Oilers. Me being the music psycho guy I am, I see that and it drives me crazy because that's not true.
I mean,
Well,
I am
why do we
not
say
the
stuff
music
that's not
psycho
true?
guy. This is where the balance of us is so perfect, because you're the music psycho guy. I am the guy with the monkey with the cymbals in his head, and if it sounds good, then I say good song. There's no way I believe this tweet. I don't know what part of it is factually incorrect, but I'll say that the first part of it, her label hated it so much that they dropped her. I heard that song like a while ago, like years ago. I had no idea who Chapel Roan was. I had no idea what that even like anything around that song was. I heard that song for the first time and I was like, this song fucking rules. There's no way that a music label would hear that song and drop an artist because they hated it so much.
They know. So I think it was Atlantic. She was on Atlantic. She did write and record the song in 2019 with Dan Nigro, hit maker. I'm going to get into another thing after this about that. Atlantic didn't like it for her. They didn't want it included on her album. They were like, you make one kind of music. This sounds a little different. This sounds inconsistent, but we don't love it for you. They released it. They released it in 2020. They released the song. They didn't drop her because of that. They eventually did drop her in, I forget what year, but in an effort to focus on TikTok stars, they got rid of a bunch of people. She was one of them. But no. They had to record that song, cut it, and they released it. She's just fine. There's so much mythology around this fucking song that I love. Pink Pony Club is amazing.
A great
But have you seen the video? What's that?
No, well, first off, I just wanted to clarify. Yeah, she was dropped in August 2020. According to Wikipedia, it was because she just wasn't making this music wasn't making enough money for Atlantic. That's all it really was. And there's a handful of people in the chat saying that this is a bad song, to which I say, politely go fuck yourself. This is
fuck yourself. Fuck yourself.
If you don't like Pink Pony, I'm very comfortable saying, like, different strokes for different folks. Taste is subjective. If you don't like Pink Pony Club and you don't have a good time listening to Pink Pony Club, you're a fucking asshole.
Agreed. Yes. And I that is big time. I am forced to make assumptions. Opinion.
Yes.
Okay. Have you? Marco, and not that I need backup here, but I appreciate Sean definitely providing it. But Marco in the chat says, Chapel Roan was dropped by Atlantic Records in August 2020. Her label felt that her music releases, including Pink Pony Club, were not profitable enough.
Yeah, that's literally what it says. It says, however, her releases were not profitable enough for Atlantic, who dropped Roan from the label in August 2020. That's straight from her Wikipedia.
Okay, so the other Pink Pony mythology that drives me crazy. Every now and then there's two videos that go viral. One is MGMT playing a show at Wesleyan where they are playing kids and they are like, it's like, Pete, you and me, the first episode of this show where we're like, fuck, like this, this is fucking good. It's dope. I actually learned on Time Crisis recently that Ezra Koenig and Wes Miles from Raw Riot were visiting a friend at Wesleyan that weekend, and they were at that. Like, college students were standing in that group of people during that. So that's a video that goes viral every now and then, and I love it. The other one, have you seen the video of Chapel Roan playing Pink Pony Club basically on like a sidewalk?
No.
Okay, she's at a piano and she's playing Pink Pony Club. And it gets shared every now and then because it's like, here's Chapel Roan playing her song just on the sidewalk, acting like she's basically out there busking in Harvard Square or something. Just like trying to get her song out there. Look at where she is now. That song was paid for, written by Dan Nigro, who writes with Olivia Rodrigo and like makes all these hits. That song was always going to be big. This is a marketing video. This is not some person was just walking down the street and they're like, oh, what's this thing? Let me take this video. The piano she's playing is a Nord, which is like $5,000. Okay? She was fine. She was on a major label when she was doing that. And it gets shared all the time by people being like, you know, you got a song in your heart, just get out there and sing it. No, if you got a song in your heart, go like find Max Martin and have him make you a hit. And like, because like two people who were talented, Chapel Roan and Dan Nigro, they were going to make a hit song. They made one and it was a hit song. These people are not like us, okay?
Also, like final line in that tweet sent by Courtney Thoreau. It's a song about resiliency and not giving up on a dream. It is definitely not about that.
Shaking It for Gay People, which is
it
my
is
kind
about
of song.
a gay strip club in West Hollywood.
And that's all I want.
There's nothing wrong with that, brother.
Tweets? You should, next time the Oilers win, be like, Chapel Roan wrote Pink Pony Club in 2002. Her label hated gay people. And also,
I mean, famously, when we just make up tweets and claim them as fact, they do well on Twitter. So that might be our next thing. Sean, fire up those Pink Pony Club's tweets for the Western Conference Final, brother.
Label executive Doug Sifu hated her so much.
In the Stanley Cup Final rematch, we have to just accuse Doug Sifu of just absolutely tanking Chapel Roan's career.
You know why this show rules is because we just had a little mini meltdown about a 6-year-old pop song and did not lose one eyeball. Everybody's still here.
You know what this is all trending towards though? Like Shania Twain was at last year's Cup Final for the Oilers. Is Chapel Roan gonna be there for the Oilers? Like I kind of want Chapel Roan to be kept separate from the Edmonton Oilers. I think that's a fair thing to want.
They've got enough pissy people that we love.
Right? I don't think that either side would enjoy the other's vibe. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not. That's what I was going to say. Like, I like Chapel Roan. I agree with her on a lot of stuff she says. She can be a little unhinged when she starts like talking outside of her music. And I don't know if we want that energy anywhere near the Edmonton Oilers right now.
The most likely outcome there is that the Edmonton Oilers meet Chapel Roan, and then the very next day they find a new theme song, and like game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final, they're like, okay, yeah, we got to get a new song. We don't like that person.
But what's a conversation between Chapel Roan and Leon Draisaitl? They're the same. It's the same picture.
I don't think there's a lot of words said.
They're both these massive talents who just can't help but be pissy.
It's crazy.
Leon needs to start referring to hockey games as, doesn't she call it the project?
I have no idea.
She's like, people come up to me because they like the project and they want to shake my hand. Excuse me, young girl, you do not get to shake my hand because you like the project. You can look at me when I am at work. And other than that, turn your computer off. Do not think of me when I'm not doing the project.
Famously, hockey players do let people shake their hand, though. It is a very big part of the playoffs.
Oh, wow. I agree with you that we can't have Chapel Roan infiltrate the Oilers, because if she even gave Jean a mean look by accident.
Ooh, boy. That would be the end of Chapel Roan for me. Yeah, you
make
mean
it my
nasty
mission
to Jean? Oh, you got whatever you got coming to you.
I don't think that would I think she would love Jean. Like, I think Jean might dress up in like full drag just to be on the same vibe as her because Jean is about that action.
I definitely agree with that. You don't got to tell Jean to dress up twice. But I'll tell you, Chappell, this is the warning. We made Tate McRae a star, and just as we give stars Mario Party voice, we can take them away.
That's
okay?
right.
So watch your ass. You would like Leon, but again, maybe you're too similar. All right. Sean, can you hit me with Slate, please? What a show. What a show. And what a slate we have tonight. Hurricanes at Capitals. Chance for the Canes to close it out. They're up 3-1. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern, the United States and Canada. That one is on TNT. And then after, Stars at Jets, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Dallas leads 3-1. Pete, my question to you. Did the Winnipeg Jets extend this series? I'll be honest, I don't really care if the Capitals do. I think that the Hurricanes have this one sewn up. I think that both of these series are probably sewn up. But do you think the Jets can extend this series?
I think the Jets have an opportunity to give a little pushback, especially at home. We know they're a pretty decent home team. Connor Hellebuck knows how to play goalie at home sometimes. So yeah, I'll say the Jets push this to the weekend. But I think Canes and Caps is just about over.
Okay, someone in the chat says that Bob Stauffer would love Chapel Roan. Let me correct you. Bob Stauffer would love Chapel Roan. I didn't need to correct.
Bob probably would, yes. Yeah.
I just need to say it with a few underlines.
Bob Stauffer is a feminist icon. He absolutely is.
Bob Stauffer would hang out with Chapel Roan waiting for someone to make a comment so he could tell him what he thinks.
That's 100%.
Bob is the type to bring someone
true.
around dressing in drag just so somebody can be like, what have they got on? What have they got on? I'll tell you what you could do is mind your own fucking business.
But the thing is with Chapel is that he would start that and then she would cut him off and stand up for herself. And then Bob would respect her even more for that, I think.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, Chapel Roan might hate Bob because he was so eager to defend her.
Yeah. Like he is doing it from a genuine place. She would accuse him of white knighting.
Yes. Taking away her voice.
Yeah.
I don't think that. Do you think that she would be jealous that Leon's pissier than her and that Bob is more of a sex symbol than her?
Probably, yes. Ultimately, this all boils down to keep Chapel Roan away from the Edmonton Oilers. That's where we're landing.
Okay. Sean, you ready to make that
variety of
clip?
reasons?
She also might be a Kings fan. You never know. So he might be anti-Oilers.
Or Tennessee. Is she a Preds fan? Where's she from?
She seems like she kind of hates Tennessee. I believe she is from Tennessee, but or
Famously,
Kentucky or something like that.
Courtesy of Pink Pony Club, she ran away from Tennessee to go to West Hollywood.
She's from Missouri.
Everything's a lie.
Blues fan, maybe?
Everything's a lie.
Oh, she does have Blues fan energy.
She's a big Jordan Bennington gal.
I've seen her at a Blues game. Oh, yeah. That's what I know her from.
That's
Great
right.
show. Sean, that's definitely the social clip, no? Pete, starting with Pete saying, we probably got to keep, I think I want to keep Chapel Roan away from the Oilers, and then us explaining why that might not work.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, great show.
Yeah, excellent show. The slate's an A because it's the postseason. I'll tell everyone one more time. Make sure you smash the subscribe button, like the video. So grateful to everybody. A lot of people caught the show live today. Love that. That's what happens in the postseason. We're itching to get this thing started and talk about all these games. Last night gave us a lot to talk about. Appreciate Nick Alberga for joining us as we did it.
Yep, that's right. Thank you to the Toronto Maple Leafs for doing it again. Thank you for Nick Alberga coming on to discuss it. Shout out to the Edmonton Oilers for being crazy as ever. We will see you tomorrow, although David will not see you tomorrow.
First show I've missed.
Here. Huh? First show ever? First show ever you missed?
First show I've ever missed. I'm not good at...
First ever show without Dave Bean on What Chaos. Instead, in that seat will be one Jeff Merrick. We're going to have a Pete and Jeff Merrick show on What Chaos tomorrow. Sean will be here. Our pal Zach Phillips will be here. One of our favorite Leafs fans that we have yet to hear from on What Chaos. So it's going to be a What Chaos and the Sheet crossover tomorrow, Friday. We will see you then.
We all silly like the mayor.